1978 star 8378 Nicole Cattaruzza. I am sitting in this brokenness. Now, my grandfather had one flag. Actually, no, I can't even confirm that. He was in the service, so I don't know how that works, and he's not here to ask. He left wherever he was, whatever built him into being the most amazing man that I have yet to find anyone in my life that even comes close. Brief run-ins with people that I would consider to have that respectable demeanor, but not many. And so, knowing he was built elsewhere, wherever it was, doesn't matter. It was just he was built correct and respectful and was a good visual reminder that humans at some point were not broken in the male figure, whatever. Because now I only have Lewis. And Lewis is very, whatever, modern, American. After the technology problem. And so now, when I went to the school, this is what the humans were up to. They called it the U.S., U.S., and they called it America. I don't see that, though, on maps, on the television, but I do see it elsewhere. And so now I'm reading about what went wrong in this version from the real local school, and this unrest in something called the American colonies, but it doesn't say where. So, then I'm thinking about Lewis, and Lewis is the first generation of broken that I have a visual eye on. And so, and it happened while he was here in North America that he broke. So then I'm looking to where my grandfather, the region or the territory, somewhere between Eurasia, that Iber to Siberia of like really well-built previous generational possibility. And I'm looking to see how now that they're in some form of a war, which has been very silent my entire life, outside of my ability to even, like, take a peek at how they behave, but it's very much the way my grandfather was. It says war in Ukraine. From what they've been speaking, they send the women away so they don't, with the children, so they don't get hurt or whatever, for whatever reason, and then the men stay, and they've been fighting or whatever is going on there that I can't see. What's weird and disturbing about this is this told the people in New York and several other states during something they called Vietnam War and something they called Korean War. They gathered up the stock, we'll go back with the Ukraine word, a Cossack stock of men, and for some whatever, they sent them there to die. Now, this doesn't make sense considering here there's a rock wall, there's paper, and our profile. Why was the instructions in North America not the same as Eurasia? Why here in North America did they pack up the men and send them away and leave the women and children vulnerable at any stage? Like, who was in charge of that? They didn't even, like, set up anything. So now I'm just curious, who has that level of power to send and gather people and tell them and misinstruct them in a maelstrom, Malstrom, fashion? I don't understand how that works. Because there's people on both sides of the water. Why does the theater over here send them not even to areas that are known to be of same genetic stock? That, I mean, like, what the humans say, I think about, and I'm like, do you all hear yourself? Like, listen, I get it. You get a wall of books in the Korean War. You drink their tea, you sit on the floor, or that's Japanese maybe, I don't know, whatever. Like, you're a specialist, I get it. You did your thesis and doctorate on Vietnam. Oh, I'm sure your parents were proud. Great. Can we get over that? Because it doesn't make sense on a fundamental basic level why you would send the mother and children's protection units to some foreign place that's not even just for what? Some sports arenas? Some foreign invaders aiding and abetting terrorists and then allowing your people to become subjects to some really disgusting biological experiments where they biologically experiment on you and brainwash you into thinking that it's normal, and you all are like, no, we're college educates. Yeah, I bet you fucking are. Drinking all the Kool-Aid all wrong. Do they drug your Kool-Aid? I'm just curious. I'm pretty sure it was time programmed with some kind of disease you'd get in the future, but hey, who am I? So now I'm just curious how, at what government level are they allowed responsibility to say, hey, guess what? Still my land, still my people, I still have a responsibility, and whatever you're doing is not okay. You need to leave. Season's over. Has been. Lincoln figured out his baby formula dilemma long time ago. Just because you don't like the answers. Just curious. It's star 1978, star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. It's Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken, and it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. This is the last place in the region, like, give or take, like, I don't know, a couple of hours plane flight, where my grandfather was last seen, like, 2 generations ago, when they were built right somewhere else. They traveled, and they still, at an interactive functioning on a mental capacity, worked correctly for their granddaughter. They were just, for some reason, at a lower functioning societal, like, intellectual society community. I mean, he had the Sons of Italy. I have no idea if they were corrupted by something else. Most likely they were, based on the fact that I'm so horrifically out of joint and out of place. But with Lewis, he doesn't belong to Sons of Italy. I don't know what the hell he belongs to or what he doesn't. Him and I don't really talk. He's broken, as far as I'm concerned. Things come out of his mouth, I'm like, oh my God, I kept my sons away from him. I don't want them. I mean, like, he's all right on small trips, but once you put me in the room, the dynamic between my boys and I, like, I don't know, both Lynn and him seem to feel challenged for some reason. I mean, I don't know. I kept them at an arm's distance because I know they weren't right in the head.
and where Russian forces continue to slowly gain ground. Sources tell CBS News White House officials are discussing a possible presidential trip to Europe in the coming weeks.
CBS News' Natalie Brand has the latest on the war and the word of appeal from Russia to China for help.
Fighting on the ground gets closer to the Ukrainian capital of Kyiv, with all eyes on another round of direct talks between Ukraine and...
This scene, wherever it's taking place, I think I see something referencing Russia, something referencing Belarus, and I'm not quite sure if I don't know what this flag represents, but it has this date, and it's on this channel. So for my purposes, being that my feet are within this, and I don't have another flag to reference because the disabled veteran was not, whoever's in charge of that I don't have direct access to, they only stocked him with my heritage flags, being the stripes and stars, the Irish, and the Italian, which I did not pick up the Italian flag for other reasons in the local area that I don't want to go into. That's a separate topic completely. Somewhere between the Broadway theater billboard chart that I put up the other day where I'm frozen in the center and there's like a Lion King that doesn't look like the right continent of lion, and then the other side which has some label of Aladdin, which again I don't know symbolically what that's supposed to represent, but it's a big problem. So on like an air signal to a genetic that cycles back in some program of logic, the logistics are broken at Lou and Linda level. I've been witnessing it for my whole entire life. To some, mine might appear broken, but mine's more ecologically damaged based on specific input and stimulation that's thrown into visual and auditory cortex based on the habitual planetarium, like in an acute situation for planetarium, like the lighting's too high, like there's settings, if you will. This Lewis's settings, his fundamental settings at the moment are off. He wasn't always this bad, but he's gotten a little bit too, it's almost like his basic instincts were removed or erased off of some database or hard drive. So now his human no longer functions with a basic instinct to protect and provide. I don't know what it was replaced with, but it's damaged and broken, and it's a problem, and it's hard to speak about problem because it's not in the hospital level that is working on some hospital, and then hospice, which I have no idea what that circuitry and circus that they hot-wired, and they're running all sorts of dysfunctional, like really scary experimental science programs and telling everybody that they're the good guys. Yeah, no, you're not. You're like a bunch of clowns all dressed up and in some kind of like brainwashed gear. So for me, it's really disturbing that they would say, and they've proven to one another here, that they did not allow their defense of the land and send the women to a safe zone. They actually gathered up the men and sent them off. I don't know how to tell that story any other way than the way the humans explained it to me. But it just seemed, who was leading that? And why did they all follow those orders and directions? I'm just curious. At what point did like the whole family that I need, an extended family from the great beyond, the King's Guard from the great beyond, When did they have so much break in communication that a leader actually got in place that sent his own kind off to slaughter, rather than doing the family work and job and tending to the flock and shepherding properly? I'm just curious. Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole, Cattaruzza. Its Earth, solar system, Milky Way, universe, galaxy is broken. And it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361.